pass catcher. Zach Ertz has been ruled out for Sunday's game against the Giants as he recovers from a broken rib. More on this story coming your way as SportsCenter continues. SportsCenter on the Road is presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. All eyes will be on the desert. Glendale, Arizona in just over 24 hours from now as Ohio State faces off against Clemson in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. The Buckeyes are ready to go. Clemson favored by 2, the defending champs, looking for some respect as they ride a 28-game winning streak coming in. And we're going to get you ready for the playoff semifinals later this hour.
So SportsCenter's on the road, as Kevin mentioned, and in the studio with Mr. Nagandi at the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl, where we'll spend much of the next hour. I'm Zubin Mehenti here in Bristol. The very latest on LeBron's status in just a bit. But, Kev, the status of AB is the big story in sports today.
Zubin, the message was simple from Antonio Brown's Instagram page this afternoon. Are y'all ready for this? And we are following a developing story. The 31-year-old Antonio Brown, the wide receiver we haven't seen since week 2. Well, he worked out for the Saints as the team is doing its due diligence. He was one of 6 wide receivers to work out for New Orleans. Brown is being investigated by the NFL under its personal conduct policy after a lawsuit filed by his former trainer, Brittany Taylor, that alleges she was sexually assaulted by Brown on multiple occasions.
Any there plans to sign Antonio Brown?
No, not now. We had 6 guys in today, really, 6 receivers that we worked out, and a few of them are practice squad eligible, a few of them are veteran players. Obviously, there's a little bit more attention drawn to him because of his career, but right now it was more or less us having a chance to get to know these guys and seeing what kind of shape they were all in.
A few months ago, you asked about Antonio Brown. You said you weren't interested at the time. Kind of what changed y'all's mind and made you want to bring him in?
Well, I probably wasn't telling you the truth a few months ago. But look, I think it's important that we've done this at other positions, and we're looking closely who are the players available and how can they help us, especially as we get ready here for this postseason.
Is it your belief that he could potentially be eligible for these playoffs, or is that more about the future?
That's a good question. That's the information that we've got to get from the league if we were to go down that road.
Can you imagine Antonio Brown and Michael Thomas lining up next to each other with Drew Brees pulling the trigger? Our Mike Triplett covers the Saints 24/7, 365. Bottom line, you just heard some of the reporters peppering him with questions. I'm sure you were there. How long have the Saints been thinking about making this move as a possibility?
Well, yeah, as you heard in that answer, Sean Payton even admitted to being a little dishonest when he said they weren't interested back in September. So all season long, and really for 2 years, the Saints have been trying to find someone to pair with Michael Thomas. They brought in Brandon Marshall and Dez Bryant last year. He has 116 more catches than any other receiver on the team this year. But obviously it is not as simple as just saying, well, then let's go get AB. Lots of due diligence and homework, how he'd fit in the locker room, and Sean Payton acknowledging that he doesn't even know if he can join the team. But the one thing that Payton and players did make clear is that they trust this front office and they trust the culture they've built in this locker room. They do like the idea of bringing him in and thinking he can succeed along with a team that's now won 3 straight division titles.
Whereas other teams have seen him fail, if indeed this happens, this could be Antonio Brown's 4th team in the last 9 months. That's Mike Triplett with the New Orleans Saints. So today's news marks the latest chapter. I'm sure you know the tumultuous ride he's had. Remember back in September, released by the Raiders 2 days before the season opener, running around saying he was free. Then he signed with the Pats, played in just 1 game before being released following accusations of a second incident involving sexual misconduct. And then today, Adam Schefter, who you're going to hear from in moments, reported that the Saints are holding that workout for Brown where Mike Triplett was, but the league's investigation remains open. Again, Adam joins us in seconds, but a reminder, multiple allegations of sexual misconduct. He could end up on the commissioner's exempt list, which could preclude his ability to play even if the Saints sign him. Here's Adam Schefter on what happens next timeline-wise with the league's perspective.
As the imagination of Saints fans everywhere ran wild with the thought of Antonio Brown and Michael Thomas playing together, there is another reality, and the reality is that the NFL's investigation into Antonio Brown's alleged acts of sexual assault continues on. Nobody other than the NFL knows exactly how close the league is to making a ruling, but even when it does, there are people around the league who believe there's the distinct possibility that further discipline awaits Antonio Brown. And that is why nobody expects Antonio Brown to play for the Saints on Sunday against Carolina, and nobody thinks that it's realistic that he'll wind up playing this postseason for the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are doing their due diligence. They're doing it with a group of wide receivers. 6 of them worked out for the franchise on Friday, and they're doing it at a time that the NFL is continuing on with an investigation that many think will result in more discipline for Antonio Brown.
So Schefter says later rather than sooner. Zach Ertz out Sunday for Kevin's Eagles. How does it impact the Birds, and will they win? Our 2-time Super Bowl champion is here with the answer in just a bit on SportsCenter.
Counting down to the college football semifinals tomorrow on ESPN. LSU a double-digit favorite against Oklahoma in the Peach Bowl. The nightcap featuring the matchup we can't wait to see. Ohio State, Clemson, PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. Back to Atlanta. The big story right now is the health status of Tigers running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire. LSU's top rusher injured his hamstring earlier this month. Ed Orgeron said he has still not practiced. The junior did some work with the training staff, reported soreness afterwards, but Coach O still optimistic about 22.
I talked to him last night. Obviously, if Clyde's ready to play, we're going to let him play. That's going to be a game-time decision. The trainers are going to let us know if he's able to play, first of all. Then I'm going to ask him, are you ready to play? Knowing Clyde, he's going to want to play. Do I think he plays? Yeah. How much he plays, I don't know. But that's still, we got still a ways to go there. He's still a little sore. He's not 100% healthy, obviously. I don't know if he can cut yet, and he doesn't know if he can cut yet, and we'll see.
Edwards-Helaire is a critical part of LSU's run game. The Tigers average over 5 yards per rush and convert on 67% of their third down rushing attempts when he's on the field. That is compared to less than 4 yards per rush and a conversion rate of just 41% on third downs when he's off the field. Holly Rowe is with the Tigers and has much more.
The final preparations are underway for LSU. In fact, at their team hotel, the Marriott Marquis in downtown Atlanta, they had set up a portable weight room so players could lift weights leading up to the game. On Friday, they took those weights out, and there was one minor injury when a strength coach dropped about 500 pounds on his toe. But he is good to go. The only remaining question health-wise for LSU is their star running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They said he is a game-time decision, and he is doing everything round the clock to make sure he can take the field with his team on Saturday.
Holly Rowe reporting. Jesse Palmer joining us now from Atlanta with much more. Let's just play a scenario out. If Clyde can't go, how does that affect Joe Burrow?
It's a huge loss for LSU, Kevin, if he can't play, because outside of Joe Burrow, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the most important part of this LSU offense. He's been an unsung hero all season long, and it's not just the playmaking ability running the football and making people miss and hitting home runs. Edwards-Helaire is a huge part of this passing attack for Joe Burrow and LSU, whether it's playing out of the backfield, catching the ball, or lining up at wide receiver in empty sets and winning one-on-ones. Edwards-Helaire has 50 receptions this year. He is a major weapon for Joe Burrow in the passing game. And by the way, also an excellent pass blocker too. So if Edwards-Helaire can't go, they've got 2 very talented, true freshmen that were very, very highly recruited, good players, but they don't have the same big game experience, and they're not as versatile at this point of their careers as Edwards-Helaire is. So if he can't go, it's a big knock against LSU and their ability to score points.
Joe Brady comes from that Saints philosophy. You can make a case that Edwards-Helaire is the Mark Ingram in this offense. Jesse Palmer talking to us from Atlanta, getting ready for the Peach Bowl, LSU versus Oklahoma. Let's bring in our guys here, Desmond Howard and David Pollack joining us. All right, now considering he hasn't practiced, I mean, this could be gamesmanship from Eddie O, and maybe he's not going to play. Would you consider, when he's such a critical part of this team, would you consider sitting him to make sure he's ready for the national championship game? Pass catcher Zach Ertz has been ruled out for Sunday's game against the Giants as he recovers from a broken rib. More on this story coming your way as SportsCenter continues. SportsCenter on the Road is presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. All eyes will be on the desert, Glendale, Arizona, in just over 24 hours from now as Ohio State faces off against Clemson in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. The Buckeyes are ready to go. Clemson favored by 2, the defending champs, looking for some respect as they ride a 28-game winning streak coming in. And we're going to get you ready for the playoff semifinals later this hour.
So SportsCenter's on the road, as Kevin